All right, welcome to Lab2b. We're going to take a look at managing governance via Azure policy. So I'm already here in my pre-configured Azure environment. So first thing we're going to do here is create a resource group. And we're going to call it AZ-104 RG2 for the second lab. We're going to tag it. We're going to tag it with a tag called cost center with a value of 000. Just reminding you that we did that. We're going to take a look at that later on. So that's done. So maybe in our environment, we would like everything to be tagged. So one way to accomplish that is to create an Azure policy for that. We can do that from the policy view. If we go down to authoring and definitions, we can filter for a policy that has require a tag in it. And we actually do have these here. It's just so difficult to find from here. What we want to have is require a tag and and its value on resources. That one. Okay, this is the policy. In JSON, you can see that we require a specific tag to be on resources, otherwise we're going to deny their creation. We can now assign this policy over here on the top left. And we can assign it to different kinds of scopes. We're going to use our resource group that we just created as our scope for now on. And we're going to also, rewrite the assignment name here to be like that we actually want the cost center tag to be required. And maybe we have a description with a little bit more data in it. And we're also going to enable this policy immediately, right? So if we can also do this in a disabled mode, just to kind of get information about how compliant we are. But in this case, we're actually enabling this policy with results that you will see fairly quickly. So this policy requires some parameters, specifically the tag name that we want to enforce, and then the default value, cost center and 000. Remediation wise, we don't need to do anything here, so we can just go to review and create, and then create. And now it's going to take a while until this policy is going to be valid. So I'm going to pause the recording for about 10 minutes and then continue. All right, so now everything should be in place. So let's try stuff out. One easy way to try this out is to create a storage account. I'm just going to do that. Create a storage account. Put it in our resource group. That's where our policy was scoped to. My very special name that is unique. That's too long. My very special name. There we go. And we're not setting any tags here. So now if you press on review and create, what happens is that we get this validation error, right? And the validation error specifically says that there is a policy in place that disallows this, and the policy is require cost center tag with a default value. All right. So let's try another thing. So let's go back to policy. And then under assignments, we can see our current assignment that we have made, this require cost center, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to delete it. And actually, the policy that we would like is actually different. So if we press on assign policy again, and as the scope, we select our resource group. And then in the policy definition, what we're looking for is inherit a tag from the resource group if missing. This is what we want to have. All right. We're going to call the assignment name inherit the cost center tag and its value 000 from the resource group if missing. We're going to enforce this policy. Then under parameters, the tag name that we want to talk about is the cost center. And then we want to create a remediation task, and we want it to inherit a tag from the resource group if missing, right? So this should be okay. So let's create this one. And then kind of basically, while we're waiting for it to be created, the difference here is that the previous policy just denied things if they were against policy, whereas this policy automatically remediates problems, right? So if something is created that is against policy, it will then afterwards be remediated. And now again, we have to wait for about 10 minutes for the policy to take into effect. So I'm going to pause the recording. All right, so it's been a while. So the policy should now be active. So let's go to storage accounts and let's create a storage account. In our resource group. And specifically, the name should be, a very unique name, which happens to be unique. And then just, let's create. So now note there is no error happening. We just press create. And the account is being created. And now it's ready. Now if we go to the resource, we can see that it's here. And now if we go and take a look at the tags here, you can see that there's a tag cost center 000, even though we didn't actually set that up. So that seems to work as well. All right. So next up, let's create a resource log. So let's go to our resource group. And here under the settings blade, there is a logs option. And we can add a log here. We can call this log the resource group log. And then we're going to make the log type of delete. Right. So that's in place. So now what this does, what does this log really do, right? If we go back to our resource group over here, and then we maybe want to delete the resource group. Okay, this is what we want to do. It only contains the storage account. So we need to enter the user group name to be able to confirm deletion. And we do that. And you can see that it immediately fails because it has been locked. So that's how we can ensure that, for example, resource groups don't get deleted. Okay, so just to kind of clean up, let's remove the lock from the resource group. And then after that, let's delete the resource group. And that should include everything that we have done in this lab. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next lab.